Access Fort Wayne offers reflections of our community. Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne are a service of the Allen County Public Library. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting organizations. For more information about creating your own television program with Access Fort Wayne, call 421-1250.
Hello, I'm John Dickmeyer. Welcome to Potpourri. Randy, it's time for our weekly Dog Minute.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. I want to tell all of you about my dog, my short-haired German pointer, Velvet. And I want to tell all of you something not to do. I thought I was going to be really nice to her one morning. So I got out the leash and I took her out with me across the street to get the mail. Well, she got all excited and it's just like Christmas. Got out there and of course the squealing started the minute I put on the leash. And it kept going until we got out the door, and she transported me. Yes, transported me to the mailbox, and we did our thing and came back in. Well, folks, now it's become a habit, and every morning when I put on my shoes, I'm overcome with squealing, and it's like Christmas every day.
Are we going to the mailbox? Are we going to the mailbox?
Wow. Well, I'm just as excited about today's guest. Today's guest is someone that all of you will be familiar with because he's our most favorite recurring guest, Shane Grantham.
You're not going to start squealing.
No, I won't squeal.
Good, I was
Thank
hoping
you. So, failing to squeal, I'll say, welcome, Shane.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Randy, for having me back.
Good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Shane, we know that you repair computers and do a lot of IT-related things. But you're not here for IT today, are you?
No, I'm not.
What are you here for?
I'm here to talk about the New Haven Chamber of Commerce networking group that we started about a month or two ago. And that's how I met you two, was through networking groups over the years.
When I first started networking, I went to New Haven.
Oh, okay.
Where was it at? It was out.
Is it Millie's?
Yeah, I think so. It
New
was
Haven
in a restaurant.
Tanning and
yeah,
Millie's.
That's where it was. It was out there in that back room.
Yes, I remember.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And how is this group different or the same than other networking groups that are out there?
Our goal was to keep it to 1 hour of the formal networking part, the part where you stand up and give or you can sit down. Most of the time we're sitting around the table, so you can take a minute to tell who you are and what you do, and then we move on to the next person. But that part of the meeting we're trying to keep to an hour or less. And if you certainly want to talk to other people afterwards, spend all the time you want, but we're trying to keep it a short meeting with not much extra things, like some of the other groups do.
Which is nice, because if someone has an hour for lunch, you might be able to tell your boss, well, I need about 10 minutes, 5 minutes to get there, 5 minutes to get back.
Right.
So I would think you would attract more people doing that.
That's what I'm hoping. And our other goal is to get more New Haven people. There's a lot right downtown that can walk across the street to the meeting where we're having at a restaurant downtown. So that was our goal. And I just want to make it friendly, and people will come back over and over, because that's, as we know, the key to being network successful in a group. Because if you just go a couple of times and never come back, it's kind of a waste for everyone. But if we can entice people to come back and get people talking and getting the businesses to know who's around, and you don't have to be just from New Haven. It's open to anybody, and you don't have to be a New Haven Chamber of Commerce member either. It's open to anyone. If you join the chamber, that'd be great too, as an added bonus.
Don't you think that some people who aren't real familiar with networking think that if they go once or twice, they don't get a referral, they don't get any business, and so what's the point?
I'm afraid that's probably what happens, because that's concerned me for years, all the years I've been doing it. Some people don't come back, a lot of people don't come back. Some, there's a good core that do, but you're right, it takes time to build that relationship, or get your, just like any advertising, you just don't see one ad usually, no, I'm going to do this. You see it over and over. So.
What I have found in networking, people want to get to know you before they work with you. What kind of person are you? What kind of, it's easy to stand here and say, I'm so-and-so, and I'm very good at this, and I'm very good at that, but who knows? And so I always felt, one thing Bob Norris taught me, who was my first networking group, it's relationships. You've got to develop relationships. If they don't need your business, they won't refer you until they know you.
Exactly. Yes. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why it's neat to see people interacting and talking afterwards, and even during the meeting. Please be quiet. We're still networking. And they've found a common thread between two businesses, and you can't shut them up, because they've found someone who can help them, or they can help each other. They have something in common. So
I think there are two different philosophies going in to how to run a meeting, and there are a lot of groups that will have a featured speaker, and then, to my mind, the featured speaker goes on longer than people have time for. And we have to realize that business folks probably only have an hour or so for lunch. You might be able to get an hour and a half, but most of the afternoon isn't a possibility. And that's why I like your concept, because you do get to meet people. You get a little bit of flavor for all kinds of people. You get to hear them over and over and over and over again. I hate to quote people, but various people that I know have said, oh, at least 5 times. I mean, you're wasting your time if you're a 1-show wonder, exactly, or even right, a 2-show wonder, but 5 times consistently at the same group. And once you do that, then you can go to other places and do other things, because there's always going to be some overlap amongst groups. But you want to give it a fair shake going in.
Right. A lot, like we said, the people I see a lot of are the ones like you two that I will refer to people. And maybe I've never used your service like you were saying earlier, never used your product or services, but I can trust Randy and John because I've known them for many, many years. I've had lunch with them over and over and over, and I've heard other people say good things about you. So all this together builds that profile that I can trust giving your name out or saying, go talk to Randy about this subject, or John. So you're right. It's and that's why when we set it up, I wanted to keep it to an hour and make it open to anybody and encourage the locals in New Haven to come in. In Fort Wayne too, we have people from Decatur. We've had people. There's a lady that comes down from Leo, Indiana, not real far, but it's not like walking across the street for some of the people. And that's the people I want to target too. I just want people to see and get to meet each other. And some of the conversations I've had with people, I already knew them from other networking groups and never really sat with them afterwards. And there were two people in particular. I did that at the New Haven Chamber group. And I got to know more about them, and I found we had some things in common I didn't realize. But the other groups I never really, there was no time because there was a longer meeting. So that's why we did that.
Well, we live in an instant society. You know, to come and spend a couple hours, I don't have time. I don't have time. I mean, that's the buzzword. People want to swoop in and swoop out.
That's why I made this. You know, if you're late at the meeting, that's fine. You know, if you have to leave early, that's fine also. Just try not to disturb if someone is talking. That's what I like to do. And I kind of if I'm running the group, I kind of let it go. And sometimes people say, well, I think it kind of got out of hand. And I'll say, well, maybe, but you know, Joe and Lisa were talking and helping each other, I think. And yes, we were listening and letting them talk, but I think it was good for the two people that got to interact that were maybe shy, and they asked a question to the whole group after we went around and everybody gave their commercial or elevator speech, whatever you'd like to call it. So that's kind of what I want to focus on the people talking, not one person talking for 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm trying to take all the, I call it the fluff out of the, because in the old days when I used to network, it wasn't like that. It was just the elevator speeches, the talks, and then afterwards, you got to really.
Exactly.
So
there wasn't anything else. You came and started round robin,
right.
Or they'd pick your card out of a hat.
Exactly. We could do it that way too.
I remember the first time I went to a networking group, I had a customer that told me to do it, and I didn't go for several months, and then she ordered more product and said, "Did you ever go to networking?" I was like,
No, I didn't.
because it petrified me.
It can, yes, it can be.
And so I went and I sat in the car with this, forget it, you don't need to go. Oh, but this is what I did. People thought. So I thought,
that's a
fine.
good story.
I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to sit in the back. I don't have to talk. And then I'll see what this is like. So I went in and it was at Bob's.
Bob Norris, yes.
And, we need 2 cards. And I thought, okay. Little did I know. And then they drew my name and I thought, no, I just want to sit here. Oh, come on, you can do it. But what I appreciated was that everyone in that group was supportive. Oh, we all had to do this the first time. And then afterwards, Bob came up to me and talked to me a little bit about it. I think he heard my knees banging together. But that's the way it used to be. And it has evolved, which I'm not saying is bad. But I think people today have so much going on in their life, they just need this where they can go in and do what they need to do and then leave.
Right, yes. And
well, it's important that we all realize that one of the most difficult things for most of the people out there, and for us originally, is to talk in front of other people. Oh my, do I have to, do you really want to hear what I have to say? And it's almost that to us, before we had to talk, it was almost like, oh, if I say anything, I'll sound phony, or I'll sound stupid, or this or that. No, it's like anything else. You know, if you've never been on a bike, you're going to fall the first time you ride the bike. But the more you ride the bike, the better you get at it. And it's the same with other stuff that you do, Shane, with your martial arts and with your exercise program. You know, first day you walked in to Speece, I bet you that you weren't the professional exercise person that you are today.
No, you're right. It's just like everything else. You need to give yourself time to get acclimated and get used to it, and then people will welcome you in. You know, if you come back over and over. And I still get nervous sometimes. You know, when I'm in other groups, I hadn't been there for a while. I'll still perspire and what am I going to say? And just be yourself. And if you have to, write down what you're going to say. I do that sometimes. Have a little note card, or my business card will have my main services, and I'll just flip that over and here's what I do, and then give them that information. But yeah, just coming back as often as you can is the key, I think.
And I would practice what I was going to say.
I do too.
For a couple days.
I would practice in the car driving there.
Yeah.
I would give my talk. I would do that all the time.
Because you don't want to take more time than is allotted, so you want to take that time and you want to get across to them what you want to say. But so many people, they just, you know, get up and wing it, and they think they have to tell you everything. And it's like I shared with one, I said, you want to give just enough to tease them so they have to talk to you. If you give them too much, then they go, oh, I know what he does, I don't need to talk to him. And they may be wrong in that whole assumption.
And they'd be bored or, right.
Yeah.
And there's always, and I always tell people, you know, this isn't your last meeting unless something unfortunate's going to happen to you, or you know something we don't know, but you've always got next week or the next meeting to fill in the blanks, or I could have done this better, I didn't say this right, or I forgot this point. Just remember there's next time.
Well, something you used to do when I was going to networking regularly was you would give tips.
Yes.
And to me, that was great advertisement for you, because you were giving something. It may not be tangible, and some people could say, well, it wasn't worth any money. Oh yeah, it was, if you listened to your tips. And
you didn't have to pay me to do what you did for yourself that I just told you.
Exactly. But I really always liked when you were talking, okay, what's he going to talk about? I wanted to hear, what are these tips that you're going to be giving? And so there's a lot of different ways to network yourself that you can get across what you want to say. You can, you know, advertise. And let's face it, this is a really inexpensive way to advertise yourself.
It is. I mean, you're taking some time, but yeah, it's where I get all my business advice. Like you two giving me advice over the years. Maybe you didn't realize it. It wasn't something that I didn't ask you directly, but I heard you talk about it at a networking group. And it's also good, like you were saying, for when someone wants to know what you do. You know, you're used to talking in front of people, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, whatever. Over the years, all the groups we've been to. So when a couple people want to hear what you do, it's no problem for me to stand up or just sit down with them and tell them what I do.
I like the other thing that you've done before for a talk, and I think this is really cool. Shane will come into a meeting, and there'll be a whole number of people that he's done business with, that he's made connections with, and he just goes down the list of those people,
back of his card.
Of those people that have helped him for various purposes. You know, well, this guy sold me my health products. This one helped with vegetables. This one helped with
research
and the whole other thing. And there you had the people that he does business with, Shane, that you do business with on a regular basis. And so you've connected to the community, and you've set up relationships with all of these people and gotten better service than someone that just goes into the store or makes an arrangement on the internet or calls a phone number.
Well, and the other thing, I think it speaks very highly of you, so that I'm more apt to do business with you because, well, this guy took his time to talk about all these people, but he didn't say anything by himself.
Oh.
You know, that in its way is a soft sell of you on your integrity and how you are about people. So when people go to networking, they don't get all the different parameters that networking can benefit or touch on. It's not just about standing up for a minute and saying, hi, I'm Susie Q, and my business is this and that and the other, and I'd like to talk to you later after the meeting. There's so much more to it than that.
You got it. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, there's so many things you can get out of networking, and you won't see that if you just are starting out. You're thinking, I need to get more business, more clients, more customers, sell more things, and that needs to happen too, but there's other things that enhances that or that you'll get out of it too.
The other thing that you get that may not matter to some people, but it did to me, are the friendships.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I have developed friendships with people. They're not just business people anymore. You know, you're a friend, John's a friend, Cindy's a friend. They're friends of mine. And in a world where it's not really easy to make friends.
Yeah, because everybody's on their smartphone.
Yeah, you know, it's like,
tablet.
hello. You know, I'll take a picture and send it to you. I think that's one of those little sideline benefits that nobody knows until they see it for themselves.
Yes, good point.
The other thing, too, is that the friends we meet are not all narrowed down to the original group that we may have come out of, but we're spreading ourselves to people who are not exactly the same as we are, that don't have exactly the same set of beliefs, and that's really, really helpful. You know, you broaden your interests in doing this, and you discover a lot of new things, like new places to eat. Oh my. I went to a networking group earlier this week, and there was a new barbecue restaurant that served the food. And we had an opportunity to taste everything or a good selection of what they offer, and it was marvelous. So there are a lot of opportunities to do things and to involve ourselves in that.
And leading up to that, like you said, most of my business knowledge comes from networkers. My first introduction to social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all that came from networkers. They sent me invitations, and I thought, oh, this looks like a waste of time. And now I love, social media. If you use it with networking groups, it can be really powerful. But my accountant came from there. Insurance people all came from people I knew and trusted, like you were saying earlier. So
there's so many different businesses out there. You open up the phone book and you think, wonder which one. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, okay, which one do I go to?
They all say they're the best.
Of course they do. And unfortunately, you may find out the hard way they're the worst. So that was one thing I always liked about networking, was that you could find these businesses. And, let's face it, you're not going to refer John if you don't like John, because I'm going to come back and say, he's a jerk. What did you do that for? And I'm going to blame you.
Exactly. That's what Bob used to say that
Yeah.
in his group.
So that's why I think, the fact that we get to know each other is good. The testimonies that people give, well, I worked with Shane and this is what I found. No one's going to give you a testimony in a meeting if they're going, oh, it's really lousy, but I'll say something nice.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, what if somebody can't come to this particular networking
Sure.
group? How can they find out about other groups?
On my website, I have a list of all the groups that are out there. And I've got a calendar also, a Google Calendar that you can integrate into your Google Calendar if you use it. Yes, and I've got a list of, I've got a link to other people who have networking sites too. So about every day of the week there's a group somewhere in Fort Wayne that's an open group, and there's a lot of women's groups, only groups that are out there. So,
and there are a bunch of special groups that where only one of each kind of business.
BNI groups, yes. We're open to, you may see 2 insurance or 2 bankers or 2 Mary Kay, whatever, 2 computer people. You're talking about BNI groups or Business Network International.
Exclusive ones.
Yes, I have a link to their Fort Wayne site there, and there's like 5 or 6 just in Fort Wayne. If you like that concept, BNI is your ticket there.
The nice thing about that concept is that gives you a little bit more reach than a local open group. I like local open groups because anybody can come and you can get all kinds of people, and the cost for the business is a whole lot less than on a BNI. But the BNI sometimes has a reach that's statewide or national, and for some people that's the right way to go. So you want to try open groups, and you might want to get an invitation to one of the other types of groups.
Well, that's the benefit of what you have them all together, so that each person is different, each person's looking for something different, and it's all right there.
Yes. And the open groups, I love the spontaneity of that. Like you said, one day we had 5 people, and next we had 11. And there were 2 that went to both of them, and the other ones were different people. Maybe they hadn't been there for a couple weeks, and other people like me were there every week. Try to be there every week. So.
Well, I think we've come to the end of our discussion today, Shane. We've picked up quite a bit, and we hope that you out there have picked up quite a bit. I'll see you again, Randy.
Well, let Velvet take you for another walk, John. And no squealing. He didn't say who was doing the squealing. Did you notice that?
I don't squeal very well. It's time for me to leave. It's time for the rest of us to leave. I'm John Dickmeyer. This has been Potpourri.